Hey guys, welcome to another tutorial. This is Dan from EDM Academy, and this is just going to be a quick video on the topic of busing. First, I'm going to show you how to do it in Ableton, and then I'm going to discuss a few reasons why you should bus things. A bus is a track that combines two or more tracks together in some way for further processing. Therefore, the term busing just means routing multiple tracks together into one track. There are two possible ways to bus tracks in Ableton, but I only consider one of them the correct way, and I'll show you why. So what I see a lot of beginners do when they want to bus some tracks together is they create a return track and send all the instruments they want to bus there. Now, right off the bat, this isn't going to work correctly because the instruments aren't just being routed to the return track, they're also going to the master channel. In order for a return track to function as a bus, you'll need to change the output routing of each bused instrument to sends only. Now the return track functions like a bus and will work just fine, but I still consider this an inferior method because a lot of the time you'll already have a multitude of return tracks for reverb and delay and other parallel processing effects, and adding buses to this collection is just going to ruin the organization of things, not only by making the return window bigger, but also by adding a bunch of unnecessary send knobs to all your tracks. The method I prefer is to create a new audio track and place it at the end of my tracks. After naming and coloring it, I simply send the output of the instruments I want to bus to this new track. Done. Isn't that much simpler? If you want even more control, you can also bus a bus by sending its output to another track and combining even more elements together. Okay, so now that you know how to bus things, let's talk about when and why you should do it. The most common application of busing is to take two or more elements in your track that work together and process them as one. This is commonly done with the kick drum and the bass of a song. If you bus these two elements together, you can compress them as one unit, which not only helps keep the volume of your low frequencies consistent, but it also helps glue the two instruments together so that they seem more connected to each other. With this method, you can also bus all of your percussive elements together. Adding a subtle effect such as reverb to all the elements together will make them sound like they all come from the same room. Another reason to bus tracks is to add more noticeable effects to a large amount of instruments for a short period of time. For instance, by busing all of your melodic instruments together, you could have them fade in or out of a section by automating a filter or volume that affects them all equally. You could also turn on a phaser or a bit crusher for one small section of your song to emphasize those instruments. Without busing, you would have to apply the same effect to each track and automate them all separately. A third busing technique is to send all of the elements in your track that aren't transient heavy, like percussive elements, to a bus and limit them together. This will help you bring up the volume of your song in the mastering process without crushing the transients and getting a dull result. This works because the peak volume of your non-percussive instruments will drop, allowing your percussive elements a little more room to breathe before peaking on the master limiter. Okay, that's all for now, but remember, there are virtually endless applications to busing, so the key is to always experiment. Thanks for tuning into this video, and for more tutorials, check out edmacademy.net.